There are those individuals who want you just to forget the past and get over it. Well, if the past has traumatically affected you and altered your life, that is not how you effectively get over the past. So if that individual doesn't want to take accountability and doesn't want to deal with it or talk about it or hear about it or discuss it, then that individual doesn't belong in your life, because you cannot have a relationship with somebody if they don't want to deal with the past, accept the past, talk about the past, learn from the past, acknowledge the past, grow from the past. It will come back up to haunt you. So if you break up with somebody because you fucked up and then you think that you're just going to go back 10 years later, the past is still going to be there. You're still going to have to deal with it. Common sense. So sometimes in relationships, cutting all ties with individuals who discredit your feelings and discredit, what happened, or discredit or don't take accountability or responsibility for it, sometimes you have to just cut off communication and connection to those individuals altogether. Because if they're not willing to accept any of that and respect you as a human and your feelings and acknowledge it and own up to it and take accountability for it and just want you to shut up and be quiet and get over it, no, that's not healthy. That's not wise decisioning. That's not how you heal and grow and move forward. So if that's the individual, if anybody's working with an individual like that, just realize sometimes your best bet is just to cut them off and go. And that's just all there is to it. And sometimes that means it's your parents, but it is what it is. Sometimes it's your spouse, sometimes it's a business partner, sometimes it's a relative, sometimes it's a friend. But again, you can't have a relationship like that. That's not a healthy relationship. That's not how you actually grow and work. And if some people do that, that's fine, but you can't tell me that there's not going to be an underlying issue there. You're not going to trust them. If they don't, it just doesn't establish safety. It doesn't establish respect. It doesn't establish acknowledgement. It doesn't establish care or love or empathy or any of the things that you need in a healthy, flourishing relationship, regardless of the type of relationship. That's just not how it works. So, do what you gotta do. And trust me, I get it. It's hard to accept that sometimes when it's somebody you love or somebody you want things to work with, but you can't change people. People have to change themselves because they want to. You can influence change, you can inspire change, you can motivate change, but ultimately an individual has to choose to change and want to change. Granted, some people change without realizing it. Just, there's happy people who get put in negative environments and all of a sudden become negative, like moldy fruit grows on other fruit, right? You guys seen that meme, right? Where there's a pear with mold on it and then it sits next to another pear for too long and then the other pear all of a sudden becomes moldy without even realizing it. So it's just that sort of thing. So you can be the change, but ultimately at the end of the day, whoever is the one who, ultimately people need to be accountable for their change to actually get. So for me, it's a huge red flag if somebody's not willing to work through things. And sometimes you can't waste your time and energy trying to get somebody to see that. Sometimes you just have to, wake up and walk away. And that's the best case scenario at some point. And, for me, I've had to leave a lot of friendships and relationships and relatives that I've loved dearly and will always hold some sort of love for in one way, shape, or form. But that doesn't mean I'm going to let them discredit me, my feelings, their wrongdoings. I deserve respect. If I respect myself, then you most certainly will respect me. And if you don't, then you don't need to be in my life. It's pretty simple, right? I take accountability for my wrongdoings. And especially when it's things I'm oh my God, I didn't even know. I'm so sorry if that hurt your feelings. I had no idea. It's just, but so many people grow up in a society where they're hurt for being honest. Like, they tell the truth and then all of a sudden, they're punished for it. So if we're punishing people for telling the truth, then we're wiring people to be dishonest. So how does that make sense? Which is super important, like when you're raising children. If you punish your children for being honest with you, they're not going to want to be honest with you. But if you tell your kid to lie and not tell the truth, then your child's going to grow up thinking that lying is an appropriate way to handle things. Common sense, guys. Common sense.